Hello, and welcome to Longwood GradCast Beyond the Degree. I'm your host, Dr. Sarah Tanner Anderson, Assistant Dean of the College of Graduate and Professional Studies. This season, we're exploring one big question: how did you get here? Join us as we uncover the inspiring, winding, and sometimes unexpected paths of Longwood University's graduate alumni, students, and faculty. Whether you're dreaming of your next step, reflecting on your journey, or just curious about the stories behind remarkable success, this podcast is your inside look at the transformative power of education, determination, and the Longwood spirit. Let's dive in. Welcome back, everyone. I'm so excited to introduce to you Daija Fowler as our next guest for Season 2 of Longwood GradCast Beyond the Degree. Hi, Daija. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Hey, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you guys for having me.
Well, listen, since we're exploring this big idea of how did you get here, let's start at the beginning. So you completed your Bachelor of Science degree in Speech Language Pathology at UNC Greensboro. Can you tell me a little bit about your time there?
Yeah, so honestly, I just went to college just because I didn't want to be living check to check. Did I know what I was going for? So I started off as a psychology major for the first 2 years. I started taking the course as a prereq course, and I'm like, okay, no, this is not what I want to do. This is very boring. So I need to change my gears. So me and Mama had a lot of conversations about like, well, what did you want to do? Or what do you want a career in? And I always told her I want to be a teacher when I'm growing up. Well, I clearly know being an adult, them funds is not funding. So that is not something I wanted to do. But I knew I had a passion for helping people and like better people's lives and things of that sort. So we had plenty of conversations. And my childhood friend Chaz, or her name is Chassie, but we call her Chaz, she majored in CSD. So I was like, okay, well, let me look up that kind of see. Mom kept hitting it. I'm like, okay, Mom, I get your fade, as we call it, get your fade. So we looked it up and I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. So I ended up pursuing that. We obviously had to apply to be in a program, and I enjoyed every bit of the program. I was still figuring out myself, being a first generation college student, figuring out if this was the right path, if this is really what I wanted to do. But I think I found a good field in what I wanted to do. And funny part is, Chas is no longer a CSD major. She actually changed her gears. So she now has her doctorate in ideology. So that's just how we came about, how we flipped roles, and how I found out about speech therapy.
But that's incredible because that really speaks to the how did you get here. Often the pathway you think you're going to embark upon ends up being something completely different. So,
correct.
Yeah. So you shared a little bit about how even at your time at UNC Greensboro, you knew that you were passionate about doing something else. You shared a little bit about Chaz's influence on bringing you here to Longwood. And so you pursued a master's degree here at Longwood in communication sciences and disorders. And you mentioned a little bit about how you learned about Longwood and what drew you here, but I would love to hear about the transition from UNC Greensboro as an undergraduate here to Longwood as a master's student in our CSD program.
Yeah, so one of my professors at UNCG actually mentioned it during my application process. We have to go through all that CCAS stuff. That was a hassle within itself. Being a first college university student, Mama had no clue what she was doing. I had no clue what I was doing. So I had to rely on my professors. So being said that, our mama didn't have a lot of money to be spending all of this buku loads of money to all of these elaborate colleges. So I had to be strategic. So I came up with 3 colleges. Honestly, I just looked up who got CDS majors nearby in the area. So I came down to NCCU, South Carolina State, and Longwood. Well, I got declined from NCCU, and that was like my dream school only because it was close, and like I hear a lot of people going there that's back home. So I thought I wanted to pursue that. Well, they said nope, not here. So I ended up getting accepted into South Carolina State and Longwood. And honestly, Longwood just drew me because of the testimonials and the GA position that Dr. King offered me, and the geographical location. I could be a little bit closer to home. So that's really what drew me to it. I had no clue where Farmville is or was. I had no clue what is Longwood. I don't know. It was honestly my reach school. So I just decided, why not? It's close to home. She's offered me a GA position where it can help me and my mom with tuition and things of that sort. So I'm a proud product of Longwood University.
Well, and I love that it was your reach school and that you reached for the stars here at Longwood. And you mentioned a little bit about being a graduate assistant, which is an amazing opportunity. So you were a graduate assistant for the CSD department for 2 years. So, can you tell us a little bit about what that experience was like and how did it shape your connection to the program?
Yeah, it was fun, honestly. Again, I really didn't know what I was doing. Dr. King was like, here are these positions that we have open. What do you want to do? So, yeah, all of the GAs that were elected to be a GA, kind of, we read through the descriptions of each job description about what the job actually entailed. And I'm pretty much very organized. So, I wanted something to do with organization. So I chose the GA position. My first option was the clinical, I think they called it clinical manager or something like that, where we just assist in the clinic. And then my other option was marketing because I like to put things together and make things look pretty. So those were my top two options. And they chose from there based off of what everyone else decided they wanted to do for their options. So I ended up getting elected to be the clinical manager for the office. I can't remember the exact name, but I had fun. I didn't have as much free time as others, but it wasn't bad. It kept me busy, especially since I couldn't necessarily go home as much as I wanted to. So it kept me busy during the week. I stayed at clinic later than most to help Miss Baldwin run the front office. I had to verify insurances, count inventory, and it just helped me pass by time really. But it just allowed me to get to know the faculty and get to know my peers better and just multitask between various tasks, not only the GA position, but also being a student.
Well, that sounds incredible. And it sounds like you gleaned a lot of real time, real world experiences in that role. But you also
Yeah.
mentioned a little bit about supporting the faculty and getting to know the faculty a little bit more. So, how did your GA position maybe give you a different perspective on the field or your professors, maybe even on your peers? You mentioned you were pulling some longer hours there at the clinic. And then, how did all of that help prepare you for your role now?
It prepared me a lot, I must say. Being a GA is not an easy job because like you have a full-time job on top of being in school. And most of us, they always told us that they don't recommend you working, taking the courses that we take because they were heavy hitters. And most of our time we had clinic and then followed by classes or vice versa. I can't really remember which way it went. But you really didn't have time for much. So again, balancing all of that, it could have been a lot for some, but it really gave me a unique kind of behind the scenes view of the field. For SLPs, it shifted my perspective in like several different ways. I mean, it deepened my respect for professors, I could say. As a GA, like I said, you have to pay close attention and attention to detail, not only when you're making like your clinical hours, but like the ongoing referrals and the scheduling and the planning time to observe us as students. So for them, they have a lot on their plate that they have to do, not only just lectures. And I don't think I really realized how much time that they take and that it takes for them to run a clinic as well as lectures. As far as when it came to my peers, it gave me a broader like understanding of collaboration and communication because I was the liaison of me and the faculty and me and the students. So I was playing both roles at the same time. Okay, well, what do y'all need from me that I can ask the professors? And I think a lot of that I think a lot of that came from, especially when we didn't wanna have class on Fridays, they look at me like they text it in a group chat like, "Daija, we don't wanna have class. Ask them, can we not have class?" So it's like building respect between not only myself and the peers, but knowing how to be professional with the faculty as well. So it gave me a lot of like leadership and juggling multiple responsibilities and managing my time and just overall being effective and efficient for everybody in the clinical setting.
Well, it sounds like a lot, but it sounds like you were able to do that with grace and resilience and also make sure that you were attentive to everyone's needs. So tell me a little bit about that multitasking as it related to juggling school-based therapy, but also private clients.
Yeah, so as a graduate assistant, like I said, it's a lot of clinical responsibilities, communicating on and off the clock, really, because there were some days I stayed after, but I wasn't necessarily on the clock. I just wanted to finish a task that I was already knee deep in. So a lot of that multitasking really transfer over, and it taught me how to prioritize what exactly needs to be done in what order, like in sequential order. So that was really beneficial as far as multitasking. And the skill set actually I rely heavily on, especially being in the school setting, because there's a lot of things that you have to juggle being a school therapist. You have IEPs, you got group sessions, you got teacher collaboration, data collection. So you have 3 to 4 kids or however big your caseload is. You have that many kids sitting in front of you within a small group, and you have to take data on multiple goals for multiple students. So that can get a little hectic. So you have to know how to prioritize which goals you want to focus on what day, how many goals, or what are you going to do for the sessions to touch everybody's goals. So you can have a kid that's working on language goals. You can have a kid that's working on fluency goals. You can have a kid that's working on articulation goals. So just figuring out what works best for which group and how you want to take data. Multitasking primarily focuses more heavily when I'm with the school setting population. Not so much private because it's more individualized, but I still have to multitask in and out.
Well, it sounds like an incredible skill that you were able to refine in that role. And so you told us a little bit about your graduate assistantship and also about some of your coursework. But during your second year of the program, you completed your externship. So how did that experience change or maybe reaffirm your career path that you were interested in pursuing?
Going into the program, I mean, I had some interest, but again, I was still a little bit confused on whether or not I wanted to do this, but I'm already knee deep in the field. Ain't no turning back now. So I don't know to what extent I wanted to really do, like what I wanted to do in the field. Like I said, because it's so vast, you can do so much because there's 9 areas that you can be competent in. So I personally had little to no interest in school-based therapy, and Dr. King and everybody would tell you Daija was adamant about not going to the schools. But here I am. I'm at the schools. I'm having the time of my life. But it wasn't until I was actually embedded into the environment during my externship, during my second year, that I fully understand like the scope of practice, the challenges that school SLPs have to come across, and the impact that we have with the students as a school-based SLP. So I'm always one that is looking for a challenge. And I felt like I could get a challenge with individualized therapy, like working private practice, but I knew I could get more of a challenge out of school-based therapy just because, like I said, it's so much that you have to do within your 8 or 9 hours of work. So the experience really reaffirmed that I did want to go into the setting. I just wasn't sure if I wanted to do it straight out of grad school or did I want to wait a little bit or like how I wanted to dip my toe into it. But I knew it was a place where I could build long-term relationships and support communication growth over an extended period of time. So it just highlighted like the flexibility and the creativity I can have while working in the schools. And most of all, their schedule. Because when you work in private, baby, you don't get no break. So when you're working in the schools, at least you get a summer break. You get a little early release, something like that. So that was another pro about why I wanted to be in a school-based therapy. So I'm proud to be working for the school system on a year-round calendar because I be traveling when we out for them 3 weeks. I be doing nothing, laying around, just whatever my feeling is feeling. So in
Refreshing.
short, yes, definitely, as it needs to be. Because like I'm saying, I can't be burnt out. Because if I don't have nothing in my cup, how am I pour into the kids? So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
definitely.
Well, I, for one, am very thankful that you chose the pathway to go into the schools and to assist our young ones. As you mentioned, there are lots of different ways that you can serve, lots of different areas in which you can assist children. So I appreciate your service in that way. You mentioned that you can't fill others' cups if your cup is empty. So I'm really interested in those professors who may have filled your cup. So you mentioned Dr. King. Are there others? And especially Dr. King is a rock star. And so
And that she is.
I love hearing you say her name multiple times already in this podcast. But any other professors who might have left a lasting impression on you as you've set into your career?
Yeah, so sit tight because I got a few. Sit tight.
Okay.
So
Okay.
first we gonna start with Dr. Walker because walking into the field, I mean, like I said, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. It's a predominantly white field, so I wasn't sure if I was going to fit in or what I needed to do to fit in. So walking in there and see a lady that looks like me, a person of color, I was like, okay, bet. Yeah, I can do this. This might be a field for me. So just having her be there as support or anything that I needed as a person of color was very helpful. Followed by Dr. Wallace, like, I'm a kinesthetic learner, so I can't just learn if you just, yeah, at a lecture and I'm just supposed to be focused. I'm going to zone out. I was talking to somebody the other day actually, and they were like, I think I have ASD. I think I have autism. I'm like, and why do you think that? And they're like, because I just fidget. I said, well, you're not alone. Maybe I have it too. I'm like, everybody has some different type of characteristic because I will fidget until I can't fidget no more, especially if I'm bored. But Dr. Waller's classes was just so intriguing. Like, there wasn't a moment we wasn't doing projects. Did we like the projects at the time? No, because why do we have another project? But we liked the projects for the most part because it allowed us to be hands-on, it allowed us to be collaborative with our peers and think about it as we're doing it. So being hands-on. And her class was most beneficial to me only because as we were doing the lecture piece, as I was getting taught all of that baby language, as we call her course, I also had, I think, 3 or 4 kids that I was doing language with. So I was like, oh, this is perfect. So I was able to use her lectures simultaneously with me doing clinics. So with that was very perfect. So I learned a lot of stuff. And she taught me how to give wait time because I mean, hey, I didn't know how to wait. I just felt like it's quiet in here. Now let me say something because it's weird. It's awkward. So there was not a time that my observation sheet did not have wait time at all quotes. Wait time with her blue pen. Wait time. I'm like, okay. So every inch I get like every observation I had, okay, 5 seconds here, 5 seconds here, 5 seconds here. And it's like, okay, it's still not enough. Well, how much is wait time? So just her feedback was amazing. Her lectures was amazing. And then last but not least, Dr. King. I just got to tell this memory because it was just, I mean, at the time it wasn't funny, but now it's funny. So it was my first clinical session. When they get there, the protocol is to call your supervisor, let them know, hey, such and such is here. Okay, cool. Well, you can go ahead and grab them and I'll be back shortly. Okay, so I called Dr. King, hey, little Johnny is here. She's like, okay, go ahead and grab him. I'm coming. So I'm like, okay, cool. Click. Mind you, this is the first student, the first client. I'm like, okay, what do I do? I'm panicking, but I'm just not going to show it. So I went and got him, pulled him into the room or whatever. And next thing you know, he darts out the room. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. So I dropped everything and ran after him. So I'm chasing this little boy all around the clinic, and Dr. King isn't in there to save the day. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. So I finally got him in a room. And I always remember Dr. Wallace told us about environmental arrangement, which is where you arrange the environment to suit the student. So you got to have your back to the door so they don't run out. Then that's what you got to do. You got to move a little piece of furniture, angle, or whatever. Okay, cool. So we back in the room. So now I'm trying to implement environmental arrangement. Okay, it's too late for that. He already ran out. So I'm panicking in the inside the whole session, the whole hour. I'm like, oh my gosh, I really just let this little boy run out. So I'm just thinking in my head this whole time, what is Dr. King going to say? What is she going to write? First of all, she's not even in here yet. So she don't even know what happened. So I'm panicking in my head. So after the session, I walked the little boy out with his mama. I came back in. I was bawling. I'm like, oh my God, Dr. King, he ran out. He ran out. And I'm just like, I don't know. I feel defeated. I don't know if I can do this. So she spoke so much life into me. She was just like, this is your first session. Don't beat yourself up. Girl, what is you crying for? You look crazy. Like, being me, like she's being authentically me in the moment that I needed me. So she reeled me back in. So that was just a story that I will never let down. Like I will never. So now I'm a queen of environmental arrangement and wait time because of them two.
It's really sad to hear this. You're gonna laugh so hard, Daija.
They are, because they're going to remember, yep, that's the one for wait time. And yep, I remember when you cried like a baby.
Well, Dr. Wallace and Dr. King really are tremendous. And Dr. Walker is also an incredible colleague. And I've had an opportunity to do some research with Dr. Walker, really for our candidates of color at predominantly white institutions. And she is just amazing. You have had some incredible mentors. So it warms my heart to hear your story of them, as I'm sure it will warm theirs when they hear this podcast too.
Yes.
So we've covered a lot about your time at Longwood as a student. So now I'm really interested to hear about your first few years as a Longwood alumna, all those stories and lessons you've learned over the years. So from early intervention in homes and daycares to now you have your own school caseload and your own private clients. How would you describe the journey that you've taken since graduating from Longwood?
First off, I love what I do. So I think that just plays a key role in how effective I am with working with these students and clients. So to be honest, I love being able to serve kids in a natural environment. So I think that's a primary reason of why I wanted to do private practice because I could go into these daycares where they're spending most of their time, and I could go into their homes if they're not going to daycare and just collaborate with the teachers and collaborate with the parents or caregivers. So at first, building a clientele was rough with the private practice, and I craved more of a stable job with benefits and a steady schedule. So that's why I quote unquote left private for full time and I started working with the school system for more stability. I really didn't want to go through the interview for the school system because I just hate interviews. They give me so much anxiety because I feel like I'm being watched, which I know I am. I'm being heard. You know what I'm saying? So I just told myself I got to be uncomfortable to be comfortable. So I went to the interview, got hired on the spot, and I was just like, okay, again, I'm giving myself rewards. Like, this is really what I want to do. So although I left private practice full time, like I originally started straight out as a CF, I kept the 5 clients that I had because I just changed them to after school. I really didn't want to just abandon them and just leave them hanging because I just feel like that's rude. Like, I done been with you for, I don't know how long it was, but I think I've been with them for like 3 months. And I'm like, okay, peace. Now it's time for you to find another therapist. I didn't want to do that. So I kept them and I just moved them to after school. And honestly, it's just been a pleasure. So not only that, but just witnessing their growth and like graduating a couple after I started my CF, it's like, girl, come on. So it's just very rewarding. It's just very rewarding.
Well, yeah, nobody really likes to go to the interview process. It's
No.
overwhelming and feels daunting, but you're there. You get offered the job on the spot because you're amazing. And then instead of just being like, all right, I'm out, I'm just making this change full on, leaving you guys behind,
Yeah.
you're supportive and you keep that caseload. I just think that's a tremendous testimony to you as a person. And so I really appreciate you sharing that. But you also faced a significant transition. So, what was that challenge or that transition to your professional life? And how did you push through that challenge?
Like I said, I mean, I had to be uncomfortable to be comfortable. So because of the person I am, I don't really like change, but I don't mind change. I just want to know of the change before it's happening. I didn't know of that change before it was happening.
Yeah.
I didn't know that I was going to go into the school system, but I knew I wanted to stay private. So I had to be uncomfortably comfortable. So I had to interview with the schools. Okay, now I got my stability that I wanted. So what do I want to do with these private clients? Do I just abandon them or do I keep them? So keeping them was dear in my heart. I felt like I just couldn't leave them where they were. So that's where my biggest growth moments came from, that situation that initially felt overwhelming because that was the biggest challenge. Stepping into the professional life, is this a lifetime commitment? Is this something that will bite me in the end? Ultimately, it hasn't so far. I'm going in year 3. So again, learning to trust my clinical judgment is something that I valued. Not only clinical judgment with the clients, but clinical judgment as far as being open to feedback as well. So again, being a new grad, I really wasn't sure if I was making the correct moves. I mean, I felt confident, but being on your own without a supervisor just right there like I've been used to for that whole year was oof, I don't know. Let me see. Let me just ask for some verification to make sure I'm on the right track. And every time, even still to this day, yeah, you're doing that right. I would have done that. Or actually, I didn't think of that. That's a good way of doing such and such. So, I mean, juggling both the school based work and the private client, it just gave me much confidence and independence to make choices while I'm also still learning. I mean, I feel like I'm still learning, but I've been at a school by myself to where I'm the only one that has to make the choices because I am the professional. So just being able to make those choices and be confident in the choices that I make definitely influenced my early moments.
Well, and I also love that you mentioned that full on transition from being the student, the one who's receiving all of the training and the
Mhm.
affirmation that you're doing the right thing, to looking around and being like, okay,
Wait a
where's the
minute.
adult in the
What's
room?
going
Oh my
on?
gosh, it's me, right? Like, it's me. I'm the professional. What do I do? And so knowing that you transition in such a way that you've been able to do that not only efficiently, but the fact that you're still doing the same thing 3 years later, being able to serve such different populations of clients, I just think that's
Mhm.
fantastic. And so your career has also grown in some unexpected ways. So, your growing interest in augmentative and
Yes.
alternative communication, so that was formerly known as AC, and also into fluency. So has that surprised you, or did you always have some interest in that or involving in that way?
PC was kind of 50-50. Me and Alyssa did a research project when we were in grad school, and that kind of sparked my interest because again, I had no clue what the field was within itself when I went in. So, hey, learning anything I could is beneficial to me. So, when we did the research project, I'm like, Alyssa, I really don't know what I'm doing, but we can figure this out together. She was like, well, I was a parent, so I know all this. I'm like, oh, bet. So, yeah, you my girl. So, you tell me why I try to help you. So, it was a surprise for me. I knew, like, after that project, it sparked some interest in me. So I knew one day I wanted to dig a little bit deeper. Again, I didn't know when, but I dug a little bit deeper earlier than I expected. So I actually just qualified or just got one of my private clients their own AC device. So we had to go through the whole application and things of that sort. So that was very fun and rewarding to navigate through the system, not only myself learning a new system, but also with him and coaching the parents and doing kind of some continuing ed courses and things of that sort with the AC. So that one was kind of 50-50. Now, fluency was definitely a surprise because when we took that course, I said, oh no, this is not what I want to do. No. So when my private agency was like, we have this telehealth, for one, red flag. We have this telehealth client that is fluency, two red flags. I'm like, okay, no, this is not a client for me. This is not me. So I was like, you know what? Let's just take him. So I took him. And now he like, Miss Daija, what's up? I'm like, what's up? So
So
he loves
amazing.
coming. I love treating him because really fluency is so subjective. I mean, do you think you stutter? Okay, well, how can we fix your stutter? And I think that's the thing that I like about fluency is that taking these CEUs I've learned is subjective. So it's not necessarily like you're, I guess you could say, treating the stutter is you're helping them through the stutter. So how can we better support you when you're ordering your food to have less disfluency moments? Or how can we better support you when you're talking with your mom and you're getting too excited and you're having disfluencies? How can I help you stop having your hands up here by your face? So those aspects of the fluency is what I like instead of treating the stutter itself.
Well, and you mentioned supporting the student in lots of different ways, and you've supported multiple students over the years. You've graduated multiple private clients, and you've also
Mhm.
earned the respect of your school's leadership. So, what excites you most about the work you do today?
Really, what excites me the most is honestly what I do. Like I get to see the success in real time. I mean, whether it's a student activating a new A&C button, okay, bet. I'm so excited for you. We've been drilling and killing this same button for 2 months and now you finally got it. So seeing the impact in real life is just so rewarding. Like
Yeah.
I mean, at the school, I just qualified this speech only student and he's Hispanic and he was struggling so bad with KNG. We tried interventions, with the teacher inside the classroom and he just wasn't getting it. And I'm like, okay, at this point, it's beyond the teacher scope. So let's go ahead and move him over to my path. So we drilled and killed for about 4 sessions, 30 minutes, 4 sessions. I mean, I tried every technique I could. We was laying on the ground. We had our head back, our mouth open. I'm using tongue depressors. Come that fifth session, I don't know what word I gave him, but I gave him a word. And he killed that word. I said, oh, look at you, look at you. So he was just so excited. He couldn't stop saying K. He couldn't stop saying G just because it felt rewarding for him. It felt rewarding for all of us. So we were all like, oh my gosh, go little Johnny, go. So we were all just so excited. So, I mean, just the small rewards. It doesn't have to be anything big, but just seeing the success in real time, it just lets me know that I'm doing all that I can to support the student.
I love to hear how excited you are, how excited they are for their successes. So, maybe could you tell us a little bit about the families you serve and their excitement around their student successes?
Yeah, so most definitely, I mean, day in and day out, especially with my private clients, I see the most rewards with them. I think because it's more individualized, so I can give them my individualized attention and I can listen to exactly what they're saying or drill and kill a sound or drill and kill auditory bombardment or things of that sort. And I can really utilize those skill interventions with them. So because it's more individualized therapy, I can monitor their growth and collaborate with their families and caregivers and aunts and uncles, whoever may be watching them or even in the room because there's been times where I taught a brother how to do X, Y, and Z, or walked him through how to do X, Y, and Z. It really just depends. I mean, I have one client, his mom literally just texted me the other day and was like, little Johnny said such and such. I said, what? We've been working on opposites and antonyms for so long. And he was like, this is a big house. This is a small house. I said, oh, kudos.
Oh,
So
I love that.
it's just so rewarding. I mean, they be like, girl, I was going to text you last night, but I didn't text you. I say, I'm be up. You can text me. My ears are always open. Even if I respond in the morning, just send it because you might forget.
Well, I love that. I love hearing how much of an impact you're having on entire families, not just on single students or single clients, but their whole families. So, what is one thing you wish more people understood about language delays or phonological disorders or even the school-based side of speech therapy?
I'm so glad you asked this because for the record, everybody that's listening, SLPs do not teach kids how to talk. That is not the only thing that we do. So for everybody listening, SLPs, we evaluate, we diagnose, and we treat a variety of speech, language, communication, and swallowing disorders. So there you have it. If you ever want to know what SLP does, that's what they do.
They do it all.
We do it all. We have 9 areas that we are competent in. So we just don't teach kids how to talk. So now that we got that out the way, for school-based SOPs, I just wish teachers realize how broad our role is being in the school system. Like I said, we just don't work on teaching kids how to talk. We just don't work on those tricky R sounds. I mean, we do a lot. We support literacy, social emotional learning, executive functions, pragmatic skills, social skills. So again, our field and our scope of practice is so broad that we touch on nearly every single part of the child's school experience. So it's not just working on ours. It's not just teaching a kid how to talk that's delayed. We do more than that. So if there's anything that someone takes away from this is that we want the people to know a speech language pathologist or speech therapist is not just about fixing kids, it's unlocking their natural ability that they have to connect with the world. It's not about us. It's not about me. It's about them.
I love that so much. I love that so much. And unlocking their potential and supporting them through that. I think the work you do, you all are wizards. There, I said it. I think that you all do incredible work. And just to hear you sort of conceptualize that in the way that you just did, that was very powerful. So thank you so much for sharing that. And you're right, everyone listening, please note.
Please note.
Do much more than you might think. So
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
don't forget about the hard work that they're doing. A couple of years ago, Dr. Walker and I were also exploring how SLPs and school administrators could work together more closely, and how often sometimes in the school building, people will think of the speech language pathologist as someone who just checks in or checks out in the office on some board, but they don't get to know them. They don't get to know what they do with the students or for the students. And so we spent a lot of time talking. We did a conference presentation about building that relationship. And so I want to say how much I value the work that you all do and how incredibly important it is for you to do just what you're doing right now by advocating and sharing all of the different things that you all do, because your job description is long and varied.
It's long. Yes, it is.
And we appreciate you.
Yes, because it's always Teacher Appreciation Week. And like, we never get anything. I think this year is the first year I've gotten 2 gifts. I got 2 gift cards. I'm like, oh my gosh, I appreciate you. Like, I feel heard. So every time this SLP Better Speech and Hearing Month, I make sure that the admin knows, okay, this month is about us. It's about the teachers too, but it's about us. And the specific day is here's the date. So we can do something on this date.
That's right. And if you haven't been told lately, you are appreciated. You are loved very much for all the work that you do, not just by your clients and your families, but by the education family at large.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. So I guess I'm also wondering from your big picture point of view. So you've been diving into AAC and fluency, like we talked about a little more recently, but how have you seen the field of CSD evolve over the past couple of years? And where do you think it might be headed next?
Good question. Being new to the field and just honestly finishing my CF. I'm still fairly new to the field and exploring where it's came from. And like I said, I've done research, but beyond that, I haven't really dug deep. So with AAC, the shift from what I've seen at least is more towards like more person centered and more neurodiversity kind of affirming from what I've gathered at least. So I think that we're moving beyond just finding what works as an individual, and we're moving towards, well, what might work as a group, as an overall group. So honoring how a person wants to communicate, whether it's through a low tech device or a high tech device or voice output devices, just figuring out what works for them as well as the group as itself. And I touched on fluency previously, just towards the counseling and self-advocacy and the identity of the work itself for that individual, and not necessarily treating the stutter itself. Well, how can I help you be beneficial in the community? Although you do have disfluencies, I'm not knocking that you don't have a disfluency. Well, how can we work together to tackle those disfluencies? So broadly, I think it's just becoming a more inclusive, more collaborative approach. And again, the more research that we do, the more research that is out there, I guess it'll be better for a systematic change that's more equitable. But yeah, I'm interested as we have to take these 30 hours of CEUs, what I'll come across. So I'm excited.
Well, and I look forward to chatting with you in a few years from now to just see perhaps how your experience has changed or how the field has shifted or how it's also changed. But I also think about our students who are currently in the program and also just
Mhm.
how quickly the world changes, how quickly our field changes. But what advice might you give to a current CSD student as they're perhaps ending the end of their program and getting ready to step into their own careers?
For sure. So, I mean, again, be yourself, whether you want to or not. That's how I've gotten so many doors open for me. I'm just being myself, as you see on this podcast. I'm not reading from a script. I'm not asking these questions in advance. So just be yourself. Go with the flow because you're never going to be 100% ready. And that's perfectly okay. Like I said, you won't know until you try. So confidence comes from stepping outside of your comfort zone. I mean, not before, but now. Like you got to do it now. Whether you don't know how to write a IEP report or eval report, ask for help or just try and then ask for help. So you're never going to be 100% ready, whether you feel like you are or you're not. Just do it and start now with protecting your well-being. Like I said, y'all remember this. Keep this in y'all head. You can't pour into somebody else's cup if your cup ain't filled, right? So you got to start now. You got to start now because burnout is real. So balance. You got to set those boundaries. Know when to say yes. Know when to say no. When your time is up at that job, your time is up. Don't burn yourself out.
Yes. And I was going to say, not just for CSD students entering the profession, I think that is something that every single person who listens to this podcast can take away. So, looking back, what do you think was the biggest learning curve you experienced after leaving Longwood and entering the field full time?
Let's see. Maybe therapy time and preparation because in grad school we had so much time to prep for one hour client. So you had all of this ample time to come up with all of these most elaborative lesson plans and what you were going to use. And Dr. King and Dr. Watts would tell you, I mean, I had stuff taped up on the walls. We playing daggone the goose. We going through lasers with yarn. I mean, I had it all planned out. But now when you have 3 to 4 kids in front of your face, you don't got that much time to be thinking about, okay, well, what we finna do today? I mean, you can prep, yes, but you don't have time to do all these elaborative sessions because their time is short. Everybody don't have the same time. You don't have the same materials and things of that sort. So really just a preparation. I mean, paying attention to the time to make sure that I'm effective, to make sure that the kids are having fun, making sure that I'm targeting multiple goals in the session, honestly, was the biggest learning curve. With being in the field full time, it's a challenge some days, but some days it's like, oh, I got this. And I'll just let the kids pick what they want to do. And we just go for a ride. It's just really the preparation for the therapy was the biggest learning curve for me because we had so much time to, you might get 20 minutes max because your sessions are back to back to back. So you really don't have time unless you do it early morning or earlier in the week. Because I usually prep for my week on Sundays. So I do all of my prep then. But if I don't get it done Sundays, we letting the kids choose what they want to do. And sometimes them be the best sessions.
Well, and you make a good point about just time. And it's not necessarily time management, good or bad time management. There's just not a lot of time there for the taking.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
being able to plan ahead of time is really a luxury. And so using your time on Sunday is great. But if maybe by the time Thursday gets here and there's something else that's happening, when do you get that time in? Have you had to collaborate perhaps, or maybe lean on others like your colleagues or mentors or even your families to help reconcile that when you don't have a ton of time? How can you collaborate or network with others to help?
So that's a good question because actually on Mondays, so I share shared spaces, me, another speech therapist, OT, and PT. Everybody is not there on the same days. I know that sounds very chaotic. I'm there Monday through Friday. PT is there Monday and Wednesday, and then OT is there Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And the other two speech therapists just floats in. So there's a lot of time where me and OT collab a lot. All Monday, our sessions are collab. So it's all related services. You get speech and OT. So again, we do a lot of preparation, a lot of hands-on activities. Because again, most kids learn by being hands-on in the task. They don't learn from you yapping at them. They learn from being active in a task. So again, while we are collaborating, she's figuring out, well, what kind of goals do I need to target for my kids? Obviously, it's OT, so you need some fine motor things. And for me, I can really target my goals through any activity that you choose. So just collaborating with her, language is the easiest goal that you can target with any activity. Articulation can be tricky because you have to know the phonological process that you want to target or the actual words, the sounds that you want to target. So that part can be a little bit tricky, which requires a little bit more planning. But for the most part, me and OT, I mean, we usually go with the theme for the whole month. So Valentine's, we did all February. She came up with 2 activities. I came up with 2 activities and we just co-treated. So that's been very beneficial. My CF mentors were outstanding. I had the pleasure of having the lead as my CF mentor. So that she gave me so much knowledge, so much wisdom, so much motivation to just be who I am and be eager to learn. She's always told me, you have so many questions, but they're the right questions. And that's only because I want to make sure that I'm doing it right. I'm eager to make sure that I'm doing the job correctly. I'm being efficient in what I need to do. So that way, when I take on a mentee, I'm able to give them the knowledge that I learned from the lead, or I'm able to give them the knowledge from my experiences. So that's something that I want to do in the near future, but we're going to keep that a secret.
That's right, everyone listening to the podcast. No, I think that's tremendous advice, though. Being reflective in any role that you find yourself. And I love hearing about how you collaborate with your colleagues, whether
Yes.
you're in the office at the same time or you're staggered,
Mhm.
able to really share your expertise, but then reflect on what you've learned from one another as then a
Yes.
way to share or beget that knowledge to someone else, perhaps as a mentor.
Yeah.
I just think that's really excellent advice. And so I know a little bit about the CSD program in that
Uh-huh.
their cohorts are really incredibly strong. So much like a lot of our programs here at Longwood, people come in, they find a family in their cohorts or in their program, and CSD is no different. So in that cohort model, it really fosters a sense of community and really tight bonds. So have you stayed connected with your fellow Longwood cohort members from your program?
Of course. I mean, social how can you not stay connected?
Right?
I mean, I love it. Me and Paula talk almost every day. Like we had the 5, 6. It was me, Paula, Gabby, Steph, Connor, and myself. So we always stayed together. But obviously everybody was so close together. But me and Paula talk every day. That's my girl. I mean, I just have about everybody on social media. So I see some of them, they done bought some houses, they're engaged, they're married, they have a family. So it's just so heartwarming to see everybody just excel in their careers and their personal life.
I love it. I also have found that a lot of our programs, when folks they go their separate ways, as it were, and they step out in the field and they keep leaning on one another. Like, that's not how we do it in this school. How do you do it over there at that school? And so I think that's another great network or another opportunity to share and grow and keep learning even after you leave the program.
Yes, it is. I love it. I love just being able, oh, let me like this post. Oh, I like your house. Oh, happy birthday to the baby.
Well, talking about houses and careers and all that good stuff, what's next for you, Daija? What's next for you? Any big dreams, any goals or new directions that you're excited to pursue maybe in your career?
Possibly. Keep it a secret, y'all. We still in the secret. We telling secrets, all podcasts. I've always had an interest in pretending I'm on YouTube. So this was like perfect for me because as y'all can tell, like I'm just talking, like I'm just yapping as we call it. In our generation, we just yapping. So when I'm on YouTube, and I'm not on YouTube, Lord, see, I'm already claiming it. But
you're already there.
Pretending to be on YouTube. I'd be like, hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today we cooking such and such because I love cooking. So that's just been a quote unquote hobby of mine. So I've been looking to maybe starting like a speech journey where I came from, where I'm at, on some type of platform, whether it's like Instagram or YouTube or career fairs or podcasts. Yay. Thank you guys.
That's so cool.
So I'm not quite sure which route I want to go, but that's been a goal of mine. So possibly in the near future, podcast or something like that, maybe.
I think that's fantastic. And yes, for the record, Daija Fowler got her start right here on Longwood GradCast on the Degree Season 2. But my son watches a tremendous amount of YouTube. And so I just laugh because all I can hear is like and subscribe. And so I'm just saying, let me know what your YouTube channel is all about. And I'm there because I'm all about it. I want to learn from you.
I have to make sure that I send the hashtag.
For sure. So I guess finally, one last question for you, Daija, because this has been a by gosh delight. But if you had to sum up your beyond the degree journey in just 3 words, what would it be?
Oh my. 3 words. Authentic, because I'm authentically Daija. 2, adaptable, because I can adapt to any kind of environment. 3, let's go with creative, because I'll create something in a heartbeat. Yeah. Speaking of, that just made me think about it. So I created this random activity. How I came up with it, I really don't know. But I bought some floss waters off of Amazon and I had articulation words. Okay. So I spread out all the articulation words on the table for the kids to swap with the floss waters. So I'm like, okay, this might be a hitter. So at my graduation party, when I graduated grad school, you want to have games for the family and things of that sort. So I brought majority of my speech games. Which one was a hitter? The one I made up.
Floss water game.
Yeah, so every cookout or every family gathering, they be like, did you bring those floss waters? Did you bring those floss waters? I'm like, no, I didn't. So I'm going to have to buy some floss waters to keep in the car because they love that game. It's very competitive.
And I can't tell you how much I have loved hearing about your story, your journey. Can't wait to hear where your path leads you next, Daija. It's been a real delight chatting with you today.
Of course. And thank you guys so much for having me. If you have something in the future, bring me back.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, we're waiting to hear about your YouTube channel. We're waiting to hear about all of the things you're selling, probably on Etsy, fly swatter game style. I can't wait. Please keep us informed so we can push your products, dear Longwood alum.
Of course. Thank you again so much, Dr. TA.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Longwood GradCast Beyond the Degree. We hope today's story has left you inspired to reflect on your own path and the steps that brought you here. Remember, every journey starts with a single step, and we are here to support yours. Explore our graduate programs and professional endorsements at longwood.edu/grad programs. And stay tuned for more stories that remind us leadership is in our blood. Is it in yours?